which has helped power Canada's prosperity for decades, is undergoing its biggest transformation since the fall of the Berlin Wall. At home, our long-standing weak productivity is making life less affordable for Canadian families. It's straining government finances and threatening to undermine the sustainability of vital social programs on which Canadians rely. So Canada's new government has an immense responsibility to address these challenges head-on, with focus, new strategies, and determined execution. And that new approach animates the mandate letter that I shared with all members of our ministry at the end of our meeting. It reflects a unified mission. This one letter outlines the core priorities of Canada's new government, reflecting the mandate that Canadians have given to us. In particular, the government is charged to build the strongest economy in the G7, an economy that works for everyone. We're to bring down the cost of living for Canadian families, to keep our country secure and our communities safe, to develop a new economic and security relationship with the United States, and to build new partnerships with reliable allies around the world. Our team is already acting on this mandate with urgency and determination. This past weekend, I met with U.S. Vice President Vance in Rome, where I reiterated what workers and businesses on both sides of the border have long known, that Canada and the United States are stronger when we work together. Minister LeBlanc is currently in Washington to continue negotiations with members of President Trump's cabinet. And Minister Champagne is meeting with his American counterpart as the minister leads the G7 finance ministers meeting in Banff. Notre nouvelle équipe de ministres a été bâtie pour ce moment charnière, pour apporter les changements que les Canadiens et Canadiennes méritent. Bâti pour permettre une vraie gouvernance du cabinet, pour que tous aient la capacité et la responsabilité de faire preuve de leadership, d'apporter de nouvelles idées et d'agir avec détermination. The next few weeks and months will be crucial to catalyze the changes that Canadians deserve. This next Tuesday, May 27th, in the speech from the throne, His Majesty King Charles III will outline our government's plan to build Canada strong. On June 2nd, I will chair a major First Ministers meeting in Saskatoon to strengthen the partnerships that are needed to build one Canadian economy out of 13 and to catalyze the significant nation-building projects that will diversify and strengthen our economy. In the middle of June, I will host the G7 and other world leaders in Alberta to address global challenges ranging from energy security to the future of the new global commercial trading system. By Canada Day, our government intends to take action to eliminate all remaining federal barriers to internal trade. This fall, the Minister of Finance will deliver Budget 2025. A budget based on a clear fiscal outlook shaped by a higher degree of confidence in the prospective efficiencies and cost savings across government, greater clarity on the economic impacts of the trade war, and the commitments on new defense investments necessary to secure Canadian sovereignty and to meet our responsibilities to our allies, as will be agreed at the upcoming NATO summit towards the end of June. This budget will be guided by a new fiscal discipline, spending less on government operations so that Canadians can invest more to build a stronger economy. Government must become more productive by deploying AI at scale, by focusing on results over spending, and by using scarce tax dollars to catalyze multiples of private investment. As our workers are continuing to face unjustified tariffs imposed by the United States, my government is fighting to get the best deal for Canada. We will take all the time necessary, but not more, to do so. And in parallel, we are strengthening our relationships with reliable trading partners and allies. Canada has what the world needs and the values the world respects. Pour renforcer nos liens avec des partenaires et alliés autour du globe, j'ai multiplié les appels et les rencontres. La fin de semaine dernière à Rome, je me suis entretenu avec plusieurs leaders internationaux, notamment avec le Premier ministre italien, Mme Meloni, le chancelier allemand, M. Merz, et le président de la Commission européenne, Mme von der Leyen. Dans les semaines et les mois à venir, je saisirai toutes les occasions d'échanger avec les leaders du monde entier afin de créer de nouvelles opportunités pour les travailleurs et les entreprises canadiennes. Avant tout, nous allons renforcer notre propre économie, une économie qui crée des emplois, qui augmente les salaires et qui est résiliente face aux chocs. Nous allons bâtir une seule économie canadienne au lieu de 13. Nous allons identifier et accélérer la réalisation de projets d'intérêt national qui vont relier et transformer notre pays. We will always be guided by our conviction that our economy is only strong when it serves everyone. That means bringing down costs for Canadians and helping them to get ahead. We will put more money in Canadians' pockets with a middle-class tax cut that will take effect by Canada Day, saving two-income families up to $840 a year. We will unleash the power of public-private cooperation, catalyze the housing industry, and create hundreds of thousands of new careers in the skilled trades. By building homes faster, at lower costs, and with smaller environmental footprint in construction and greater efficiency once families move in. Nous allons assurer la sécurité du Canada en tant que nation souveraine et celle des Canadiens et Canadiennes au sein de leur communauté. Avec des forces armées canadiennes, des forces policières, une frontière et un code criminel plus fort. Nous allons bâtir la confiance en notre système d'immigration, ramener les cibles à des niveaux viables et plafonner le nombre de travailleurs d'étudiants étrangers, tout en attirant des travailleurs talentueux qui nous aideront à bâtir une économie forte. In the mandate letter released today to Canada's ministry, I encourage my colleagues that we can more than meet our challenges with energy and ambition. That is how Canadians have built the best country in the world, and that is how we will build it even better. It's time to build big, build bold, build now. Merci, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We're now going to begin with the question period. Nous allons commencer avec la période de questions. First question, Abigail.
Miguel Beeman, CTV News. Thank you for taking our questions. The American ambassador told CTV's Power Play today that pulling out of the F-35 deal would threaten NORAD. Do you agree, and do you have an update on the F-35 plans?
The second part of your question, the review of the F-35 contract is ongoing. There's many factors that come into that. Interoperability, so that would relate to the NORAD element there. Value for money. Broader Canadian industrial impacts, all of those are factors that are under consideration. So it's, I didn't see the ambassador's specific comments, but those are factors that are part of an ongoing review of the contract.
The ambassador also said that there haven't been formal talks on the Golden Dome. Should Canada take part in that project, and how much would you be willing to spend on that?
Okay, well, I'm not going to put a price tag on the second part of your question. I think I'll say the following about the situation with air defense or ballistic missile defense, intercontinental ballistic missile defense, broader defense against, including potential missiles that in the not too distant future could come from space. I mean, these are some of the threats that our nation faces. We take those threats seriously. We take our responsibilities as a government seriously, as I just said. It's one of the reasons why we made the commitment back in March for the over-the-horizon radar, the first phase of the over-horizon radar system, and that was an independent decision that we took. We are conscious that we have an ability, if we so choose, to complete the Golden Dome with investments and partnership. And it's something that we are looking at and something that has been discussed at a high level, but I'm not sure one negotiates on this. These are military decisions that are then taken in that context. And we will evaluate it accordingly. Thank you.
Next question.
Ronnie McKenzie Gray with Global News. During the election, you were very public in saying that the old relationship that Canada has with the U.S. is over. You said that Donald Trump is trying to break us so he can own us. But now, just a couple weeks after the election, there's conversations, at least, about further integrating the Canadian military with the U.S. about the Golden Dome. What do you say to Canadians who voted for you based on your elbows up mentality with the Americans?
Well, first, one of the reasons why we're having more constructive discussions with the Americans is because we are demonstrating our ability that we have choices. We have choices economically. We have choices with respect to our defense. I'll give you several examples to back that up. Maybe I'll step away from the economics. You probably, Mr. Gray, you've probably heard enough of me on that, so I will talk about defense for a moment. With respect to the F-35, it was raised a moment ago, we have alternatives for the F-35 for the back end of that. European alternatives that we could pursue. We have to weigh them in the best interests of Canada. That's how we will evaluate it. With respect to broader defense, whether it's air, sea, land, cyber, we have other partnerships that we can strike. And one of the things, as you will have heard, but I'll repeat, that we have been discussing with our European partners is becoming a full partner of Rearm Europe, Safe Europe, different acronyms for a major relationship that we can have that gives us diversification, new partners, new options, better value for money, potentially more domestic Canadian economic benefits. So all of that exists in parallel to potential opportunities with the U.S. And the way I would characterize the change in the relationship, and I stood in this room and made those comments the first time, and I'm very clear, and I absolutely repeat them today, which is we had for almost half a century, we as Canada, a relationship with the Americans which were a steady process of deepening integration. Deepening integration in economics. We went from free trade deal through to CUSMA, deepening integration in military aspects. And that process of deepening integration is over. We are in a position now where we cooperate when necessary, but not necessarily cooperate. So we have other options for that cooperation. We are pursuing those other options. You will see a very different set of partnerships, security and economic, going forward. But to be absolutely clear, when it is in Canada's interest, first best interest, to cooperate with the Americans, to strike deals with the Americans, relationships, and particularly in examples like ballistic missile defense, that may be the best option, and if so, we will pursue that.
On the point of further integration, you said on Sunday in Rome, it's prudent to diversify our defense partnerships when there are questions of sovereignty at issue. Why would we even want to have conversations about further integration militarily when you said just 4 days ago that the Americans have questions of our sovereignty?
I'm trying to recall the comments to which you're referring to.
Last question to Eric at the...
when
you were talking about the
forgive me, you can furnish me with the transcript, but there is, as we know, the President has expressed on multiple occasions a wish for, I'm not going to repeat the phrase, I never repeat the phrase, but a wish for something to happen. That is never going to happen. That is understood, increasingly understood. The wish still exists, but the reality is different. First point. Second point, There are cases where it is in our interest to be integrated with the U.S. market. The automobile sector. My entire life, our automobile sector has been integrated with the U.S. The auto pact was struck the year I was born. There are elements of our security relationship where it can make sense, but not all elements of our economic relationships or our security relationships does it make sense, and we are actively and aggressively pursuing alternatives.
Prochaine question. Radio.
Bonjour, Juliane Lapointe de Radio-Canada. J'aimerais vous entendre en français sur est-ce que vous pensez que c'est une bonne idée de participer du côté du Canada au Dôme d'or? Et Donald Trump semble indiquer que c'est le Canada qui a appelé pour manifester son intérêt. Est-ce que c'est ce qui s'est passé?
En ce qui concerne les discussions avec les Américains sur le Dôme d'or, il y a des discussions depuis quelques années entre les officiaux militaires et officiaux sécuritaires entre le Canada et les États-Unis, premier point. Le président et moi, nous avons eu quelques discussions en ce qui concerne le concept de Dôme d'or. Est-ce que c'est une bonne idée pour le Canada? Oui, c'est une bonne idée d'avoir des protections pour les Canadiens et Canadiennes par rapport les missiles, et parce qu'il y a maintenant, à partir de maintenant, il y a des menaces. C'est la Corée du Nord, la Russie, peut-être la Chine, après un certain temps. Il y a des vraies menaces pour le Canada. Et nous avons un choix. Est-ce qu'on va créer une protection pour nos villes, pour notre pays, ou non? Et si on va le faire, et selon mon gouvernement, il faut le faire. Et OK, c'est seulement le Canada ou le Canada avec les États-Unis? Parce qu'avec une Dôme d'or, il y aura des décisions qui pourraient avoir un impact sur le Canada, mais pas avec le Canada à côté des Américains. Alors, il y a plusieurs considérations, mais ensemble, ils sont des discussions qui continuent.
Puis selon vous, quand vous parlez de protection du Canada avec un Dôme d'or, est-ce qu'on est davantage dans la détection de missiles ou avoir un rôle plus proactif où là, on parle vraiment d'intercepter des missiles?
Oui, il faut être, soyons clairs, il faut être plus proactif. Hein, parce que l'idée c'est, OK, il y a un missile qui existe et en une trentaine de secondes, il y a un avertissement pour les Canadiens. OK, vous avez 30 secondes. Non, il faut agir. Hein. Alors, il faut changer la politique. Merci.
Boris, pour Le Devoir, vous venez tout juste de mentionner les menaces pour le Canada. Vous n'avez pas mentionné les États-Unis dans la liste. Le 31 janvier, vous avez dit que les États-Unis ou le président Donald Trump menacent nos travailleurs et notre famille. Est-ce que, oui ou non, le président Trump représente une menace pour nos familles?
Oui, je l'ai dit le 31 janvier, probablement pendant le février-mars, la semaine passée, parce que il y a une menace économique qui existe à cause de la guerre tarifaire. Et la guerre tarifaire continue. Nous sommes maintenant en train de discussions afin de régler cette guerre, afin de trouver de la paix dans la guerre tarifaire. Mais on verra. Pour le moment, la menace américaine continue. La menace américaine économique continue.
Vous avez aussi dit que le président Trump est un président transformateur. Vous lui avez dit dans le bureau ovale. Après, vous avez dit qu'il y a des transformations positives et négatives. Avez-vous un seul exemple à nous donner de transformation positive qu'apporte la présidence?
Depuis quelques années, Monsieur le Président, il est plus clair que les risques qui concernent la concurrence géopolitique de la Chine, par exemple. Il a changé, au fond, il a changé la politique géostratégique américaine, y compris la politique géostratégique de l'ancienne administration du président Biden. Et il est plus clair que les risques qui existent dans quelques endroits à travers le monde. Pardon. The question was about positive aspect of President Trump's transformation, and my example was, and I was starting from his first presidency, about clarity about geopolitical and economic competition from China. And I think we have seen that but that intensified through the Biden administration, the reaction to that. So he was right about that. There's been a reaction to that. That has changed aspects of the game, and there are other aspects like that.
Next question.
Wait.
Hi, Prime Minister. Marina von Stackelberg with CBC News. Did you speak to U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance this weekend about putting that statement out with the UK and France against Israel expanding its military operations in Gaza? And was the U.S. supportive of you releasing this statement?
I advised the Vice President that we probably were going to say something. I didn't ask. It was a one-way conversation. I advised the Vice President of that. J'ai mentionné le vice-président que le Canada, la France et le Royaume-Uni. J'étais là avec le ministre des Affaires étrangères du Royaume-Uni pour quelques minutes, et puis avec le sous-premier ministre du Royaume-Uni, et je l'ai mentionné la probabilité d'avoir cette annonce en ce qui concerne le Gaza. Mais ce n'était pas une conversation, c'est de renseignement pour lui. It wasn't a conversation, sorry, I switched language. It wasn't a conversation, I informed him it wasn't anything more than that.
Did he give you a reaction?
I just said it wasn't a conversation, so.
If Israel continues to deny aid and expand military operations in Gaza, part of what your statement was about, what concrete action will Canada take, and what kind of sanctions will it include?
Well, I very much, the purpose of the statement, the intention of the clear language is not just of ourselves, but of France, of the United Kingdom, many other countries, is that Israel ensures that adequate humanitarian aid gets to the population there, many of whom are on the brink of starvation. Well, j'ai compris la question. Non, on va décider. Mais c'est mieux c'est la responsabilité du gouvernement d'Israël d'agir.
Time for last question. Dernière question. Catherine?
Good evening, Catherine Lévesque, National Post. I wanted to get your opinion on the Reform Act. You might have seen, but a few of your MPs say it's nothing against you, but they want to have the power to trigger a leadership review if things go south, maybe in a couple of years. Are you comfortable with this idea?
Is that a prediction, Catherine? I mean, what a little confidence.
Are you comfortable with that idea so early in your mandate?
Well, I'll say the following, which is that the Reform Act, all parties in Parliament, all recognized parties in Parliament are bound by the Reform Act. It's the law of the land. And therefore, there are these 4 votes consistent with the Reform Act that will take place. They'll take place at the first caucus meeting, which is Sunday. So it's just...
that idea.
Well, I observe that this will happen. There'll be these votes.
And just really quickly, I wanted to get your reaction on the IDF who fired some shots at some Canadian diplomats. Does that change your stance on Israel? Should we impose sanctions as a result?
Well, the Israeli ambassador has been summoned to Global Affairs to see the minister and explain. We expect a full investigation. We expect a immediate explanation of what happened. It's totally unacceptable. It's some of many things that are totally unacceptable that's going on in the region. C'est absolument pas acceptable, cette situation. Et c'est la responsabilité de l'ambassadeur d'Israël de faire une explication à nous. Et c'est la responsabilité du gouvernement d'Israël de faire une explication, mais c'est un autre exemple. C'est un autre exemple c'est un autre exemple des affaires qui ne sont pas acceptables.
Merci.
Okay, merci.
Merci.
Merci
C'est
beaucoup.
notre conférence de presse. Thank you.
Okay.